Okay, so we're getting towards the end of our project here, and we've put some textures on with an image map. We've changed the model and used a deformer in there to get our twist. So a lot of different methods have been used on this, including splines and NURBs, lathe NURBs, hyper NURBs. So what can we do for the cap to give that some interest? Well, let's do this. Let's come over here and select the lathe NURBs. Let's go to polygon mode, which we are, get our select tool. I'll press the U command and then press L for my loop select. Select a ring, hold the shift key, select another ring, and another, and another, and I think that should do it. That selection, okay, is going to be where we're going to place our bump map. Okay, but we want to make sure that nothing's selected over here. None of these tags need to be selected, just the lathe NURBs. Then we'll go to selection and choose set selection. Okay, and that selection tag is now added, and we will call this cap bump. Easy enough. Okay, so from here, let's make an entirely new texture. But I want the texture to blend with our existing bottle cap texture. Okay, that's the one we already created. So what I'm going to do is just select that, and they look like they're selected, don't they? With the highlight around them. But if you look very carefully, you can see that when I click on these, the font actually highlights. Okay, so something to pay attention to. Command C to copy or Control C on a PC. Command V to paste. Okay, so now you've got a copy of that texture, and it always adds to the front. So it's this one right here. We'll double click it, and we'll call this cap bump. Okay, so everything's the same. Our surface color, our specularity, and so on. All we're going to do with this one is add a bump map. But now, what kind of bump map? Well, next to texture, let's click that little drop down. You can load an image if you wanted, as we did with the label. Use a black and white image. You can use a color image as well. You can put noise on there, which is a bump like that, which is not quite what we want. Instead, we're going to come down all the way, and actually let me raise this up so you can see all of these, if we can get them in there. I'm going to come down here to surfaces, and then all the way down, which is off-screen, tiles. Okay? Click the tiles button once it's added, and instead of the pattern being squares, which you see there, which is great for a bathroom wall or a kitchen, if you go all the way down, there's actually some lines that you can use. Okay? You can change the grout level, the bevel width. You can just put your mouse over that and use the wheel mouse. Orientation, the U or the V being more vertical, so we'll try that. Global scale, UV scale, and so on. So you can decrease the scale, make it a little bit finer. Okay? So bring it down to about 45%. And for the colors, let's just leave those alone, because a bump map is going to actually look at the high and low values, and there's enough in here for it to work. All right, so we've created a copy of the material, then just created a bump map for it. And you can see it right there. So all we need to do now is just apply it. Okay, now if you drag it on there, what happens is it applied right to the ground. It saw that behind it. That's okay. We'll just drag it right down here to the NURBs where we need it. And just like we did with the other surfaces, take that tag and drop it in for the selection. Let's do a quick little render here. And instead of doing the Command R render, let's click the front guy here and do a little preview render in the pop-up window. Now what happens is I can kind of see the bump in there, but not quite all the way. And the orientation might not be the exact way we need either. So I'll show you how to change that. Let's close that out. Let's increase the tiles. And I'm just going to double click and make it about 30 on the X. And then we'll do another little render. It's a Shift R render, by the way, rather than Command R. And now that I've increased the tiles, now we get the grooves we want, but they're going the wrong direction. Okay, so let's fix that. And again, we'll just stop this. Double click that texture to open. Click the tiles and change from V to U. And we can just do Command R, let it render in the viewport. And now I can see that my direction is correct and my grooves are going the right way, but they're a little bit large for this particular cap. They should be a little bit tighter. Okay, so let's open up this. We can actually go here to bump as well in the properties and just increase the strength. And then we'll come back to our tile surface here. Let's open this up. back to the shader, and let's decrease the global scale a little bit. And then the last thing I want to do is select the surface itself, and let's double that tile to about 60, and then let's do Command R again to render. And now we've got a much stronger bump and a little bit finer detail. And I think we can go down one more level. Let's go to about 90. Okay, so just a very easy way to put a bump map on. I've also placed a couple of image maps in your folders that are black and white that you can apply there, just the way we did with the label using the texture tool over here. But this is just another way, it's another procedural in there that you might not know is usable for a bump map, but it is. The computer actually takes the high and low values, holds the dark values, pushes the light values, and gets you the bump. Now this is not something you want to zoom in very close on, okay? Because you can actually, if you actually look at the sides here, you'll see that it's still smooth. But it gives you a visual fake. And for something like that, little grooves in a cap, when we're going to render it out about this size, little grooves in a cap, if you want to do pages of a book, things like that where you'd have a lot of stacks of papers or pages, something like a bump map is going to work very well. And of course you're going to use bump maps for textures on walls, rust, rocks, gravel, things like that. A combination of bump maps and displacement maps, as well as the geometry being deformed into a specific shape, all come together. So you shouldn't just consider bump maps only or displacement only, but a combination of all of them. All right, so that's going to finish up this portion. Let's move on to the next video, and we will just enhance the scene just a little bit more with the environment. We're going to throw a little global illumination in there. We're going to fix the refraction just a bit, and we'll go from there.